I've been talking a lot lately about the legendary tier Italian battleship Lauria, just because I think it's a very strong ship and probably one of the best battleships at legendary tier. But every time the subject comes up, I always follow up my statements on Lauria with the claim that actually the USS Ohio is the best battleship at legendary tier and maybe just one of the best battleships in the game overall. So I've got a match for you with the Ohio. This happened on my stream Friday, so if you've already seen the results, you know what to expect. But if you haven't, this is going to be a pretty good game in the Ohio. I've actually got another match recorded on the same map, in the same spawn, with the Lauria. And the results that we get in terms of damage done are nearly identical. I thought of maybe attaching it to this same video, but I don't know that I have enough time today to cover both of the ships at the same time. So maybe if you guys want to see the 230,000 damage match I have in Lauria on this same map with the same spawn, let me know in the comments section. I'll put it up next and we'll kind of keep this match in mind when we compare the two. But Ohio, the reason I say it's one of the best battleships at the tier, if not in the whole game, is multiplicitous. There's a lot of reasons. One is that you can build this ship in a couple different ways. You can build it for main battery guns, like we've done in this match. You can also build it for secondaries. This thing essentially has the Massachusetts secondaries. They're very accurate. They don't pen a lot, but they do start a lot of fires. And on top of all of that, the Ohio can make use of those secondaries because it's a very tanky battleship. It's a Montana hull, so it's got 32 millimeter bow and stern plating like everything else, but crucially, it has 38 millimeter upper deck armor and belt armor. Superstructure is pretty big, but the 38 millimeters is going to shatter a good deal of HE, and it's going to allow you to bounce every battleship caliber out there. Plus, on top of the tanky hull, it's got some specialized heals that restore maybe a little bit more HP than your typical battleship repair party, but also, much more crucially, cool down in about 40 seconds. So it's not too long after you use one of them that you've got the next available. Not too many battleships in the game have a gimmick like that. And then, the cherry on top is the main battery guns, the 8 457mm guns, same as Lauria, although they don't have sap. They do, however, have the highest AP alpha strike in the entire game, even higher than Yamato's, 15,750 base, and there's plenty of ways you can increase that number if you want to. Oh, and then throw in the fact that the base turret traverse on the Ohio is absurd. Something like 30 seconds, maybe even a little bit less than that, so you can switch the turrets around very easily. As for how we're playing it in this battle, well, it's a main battery affair here. We've spawned on the alpha flank and we've taken up a post, not going down the flank itself, but right here in front of the cap, as some ships are pushing into the center of the map, namely this Ohio and GK out there a little bit to the left. I don't know if these guys haven't read the loading screens, but sometimes the loading screens do give good advice, such as don't sail your battleship through the center of the map. It's a poor tactic. Well, don't sail any ship through the center of the map 4 minutes into the game. We can amend it to say that. Ohio out there gets away with it. These guns are sometimes not super consistent, but we do have the Epic Artillery Plotting Room mod installed, so every 30,000 damage we do, our shells get more accurate by, I think, 2%. We've procced the mod once. We're about to proc it again, maybe with one other salvo against, say, this GK. Then we'll be up to 60,000, and we'll have 4% better accuracy. However, GK is somewhat angled, so let's take a shot at Broadside Minotaur out there, and a Citadel, plus an over-penetration, and a full pen. Good amount of damage, we're up to 70,000. Minotaur is turning away, we'll send a parting shot toward him with the front guns, and now Ohio is pushing in. We don't want to be flat broadside. The ship is tanky, but, you know, you can still hit the Citadel if it's flat broadside. So we're going to angle a little bit as GK shots come in and do absolutely no damage. Our concealment, by the way, is very good on this ship. I've got Kondo as one of the inspirations, and I may very well be running Azerlane Sovetski Rossiya as the other. This might be a double concealment build. No, we're at 13 kilometers, so it's just Kondo and somebody else. If you did use Azerlane Sovetski Rossiya, I think it gets down to 12.6, but 13 kilometers is decent. Allows me to control the engagement a little bit more. Our team has taken the Bravo cap. Ohio out here is demonstrating why you don't push straight into caps this early on in the game. Takes a couple of hits from the torpedoes of that friendly DD, and we help to finish him off, netting ourselves one fisting ribbon. Just as the GK gets a Citadel on us, I think, from 18 kilometers. Pretty impressive, but, then again, we were giving flat broadside. However, we got the heal going, and once this heal runs out, we'll have the next one off of cooldown pretty quickly. Enemy team is gaining on us, though. We do have control of 2 out of the 3 of the capture circles. Our DD is in the third one, the Charlie one, over there to the other side of the map. He's preventing the enemy team from accruing any points, and we've just managed to even up the kills. We have a destroyer advantage, though, at 2 DDs, and we get a nice 10k hit on the GK, which it seemed to me the Ohio was doing rather consistently throughout this entire match, getting halfway decent salvos like 10k like that, but not a whole lot else, at least not until a little bit later from this sequence. GK, like the enemy Ohio before him, has decided he's going to push into the center of the map too. And of course, from our position here, if he turns broadside, which there's, as far as I can tell, really no reason for him to do, he's doing it anyway. If he does that, then of course we're going to be able to do a lot more damage. He might have turtleback armor, but that's not going to save you from full AP penetrations into the 150 millimeter upper belt armor. That's enough to arm any battleship AP and cause tremendous penetration damage. There he's slightly angled, but he's got the deep water torpedoes of the Lucian, I think. I think that's a Lucian to worry about. They're headed his way as we go around this corner. The reason we're doing that is because, well, we're thinking this Carnot is maybe going to push out from behind this island. Ohio's 457 millimeter guns can, of course, overmatch the armor of Carnot on the belt armor, and most other cruisers at legendary tier. A lot of them, except for light cruisers like Minotaur, have 30 millimeter plating on the sides. Ohio can overmatch that. So can Lauria, for that matter. But it's a useful gimmick to have, and I think as more battleships come into this game at this tier, we'll see more guns of this size. But the real prize turns out to be HMS Duncan, a good ship. However, one of the least tanky battleships in the entire game. Gigantic citadel the size of most cruisers, and if it even gives slight broadside, well, there's a devastating strike and so many ribbons that the screen can barely fit them all together. Has to shrink their size for the 4 citadels and I don't even know what else. But now, our damage done total becomes a lot more impressive in just one single shot. 178,000 damage. These, in my opinion, are probably the best battleship guns in the game. You can find them on Ohio, but if you can't obtain the Ohio, which I don't think you can, unfortunately, at least not right now, the Georgia also has these same guns, and at the very least, the Georgia W was on sale for this Christmas 2024 season. I don't know if it still is. I think so, because the update hasn't finished. So if you want to experience this gun power, you could always get the Georgia. That's a ship I love as well, one of my favorite in the game. Only real difference is the Georgia is faster, much less tanky than the Ohio, and it only has 6 guns, whereas we have 8. And you could build the Georgia for secondaries, but you're never going to get the range far past 7.5 kilometers, unlike on the Ohio, which if you build for full secondaries, you can get toward the 11 km range. Anyway, it's an even 4v4. Theoretically, this is anybody's game, but the blue team has control of all of the caps, so all we have to do to secure the victory here is not play foolishly. GK out in the distance, He doesn't see us. He's turning in to our salvo. Hopefully we got the aim and the lead right. Looks like we did. Georgia goes, or not Georgia, Grossa Kurfürst goes down for our second kill of the game. We get the high caliber medal, 187,000 damage done. And all that's left is the enemy destroyer, whose location is not known to me. Looks like he was last spotted far, far back in the friendly spawn. I don't really know what he was doing back there. There's no CV in this match. He must have been going after a backline Betty battleship, I guess. Perhaps not the best use of your time as a destroyer. He's out of position, and I don't think we're going to see him at all throughout the rest of this game. Vermont is kind of a scary opponent in some ways. It's a big, hulking battleship, and to a large degree, the hull is like a piñata that you shoot at repeatedly to get as much damage as possible. But it does also have 12 457mm guns, slightly worse than the Ohio's. The alpha strike on those is only 15,000 even. We have 15,750. But we're significantly more tanky, more maneuverable, and I don't really think that Vermont has any chance. Carnot is playing Ring Around the Island game. We were initially headed toward his position, but it looks like he reversed out of it. Now he's on the other side of the island, spotted by the friendly destroyer. That's fine. That destroyer continues to do excellent work, torpedoing, I think, the GK earlier, and now the Vermont. He loses most of his HP, and he's down low enough that that salvo is enough to send him back to port and net us our third kill. We've reached 200,000 damage done. The enemy DD is spotted in pursuit of our destroyer in the Bravo cap, but we've got one other battleship out there that could potentially shoot at it. Big worry, I suppose, is that the Carnot has shots on the friendly destroyer. Even if it did, though, there's no guarantee that it would really be hitting it. Carnot decides to come around the corner, and like I said, he can't really angle to these 18-inch guns with his 30mm upper belt armor. The Citadel can angle, but, well, there you go. Overmatch right through the belt, 4 full pens, 2 over pens, 224,000 damage done. And because Carnot is an artillery-only cruiser, we don't have to worry about any torpedoes. Carnot is going down. We just need to get these guns reloaded. They've got the maximum accuracy possible with this mod, and so there is no escape from the power of Ohio. Carnot goes down, 231,280 damage done, and 4 kills. Opportunity for a Kraken, actually. The destroyer is still alive, but he's all the way over there, 17 kilometers away. Maybe I should have shot at this point, but it looked like he was going to beach himself, and maybe, just maybe, I'd have the opportunity to land shells. He does beach himself, and he immediately begins reversing, but due to a small and unexpected case of potato-itis, we are not able to lead the shot properly. And so the kill of the Yugamo is going to go to our friendly destroyer, who's absolutely shredding him with his main battery guns. Actually, does the Yamato take him out with secondaries? What an ironic turn of events. That's not something you see every day. Close quarters expert on the Yamato of all things, but there you go. We win the battle with 231,000 damage done, nearly a Kraken, 3,358 base XP. I have another game, as I said earlier, in the Lauria, on this same map, with this same spawn, with just about the same amount of damage. I think 230k instead of 231. So if you want to see that video, and maybe we can talk about the comparison between the two ships, let me know in the comments section. Give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.